Well, it's coming up to 3 years since we recorded our Pendulum Suite, and I just thought it'd be a good idea to speak a little bit about the music, about the arrangement, and about why we chose Pendulum. So I got introduced to Pendulum in 2005. I was at uni in Manchester, and a friend of mine, Jules Gilchrist, introduced me to the Hold Your Colour album. And at the time I was really into the music from the Matrix films, and it was this kind of blend of orchestral music and electronics. And there was one part of the film, I think it's a car chase in the film, and I was obsessed with that because of this blend of kind of club music, kind of house music, drum and bass, and orchestral music. So when I heard Hold Your Colour, it was kind of right up my street, really. And a friend of mine, John Davis, at uni, we used to listen to it. He was the DJ at loads of nights, and he used to do these mashups of Pendulum, and we used to just kind of have a lot of fun listening to their music. And so they've always been kind of, for the last sort of 10 years, they've been on my radar. And then we were chatting about suites to do, and I'd already been working on an Etherwood suite, and I thought we could have a kind of drum and bass themed day recording. And Rhiannon's a huge fan of Pendulum, to the point of being obsessed. So she was kind of enthusiastic about us doing this Pendulum thing. So I started working on the suite, and there were tunes that I was, that were my favourites, things like Slam and Propane Nightmares. And we'd also play in a band called Riot Jazz, and Sam, one of the trumpet players, had already done a medley for Riot Jazz. And so I knew it worked well in that kind of club environment, and I knew it worked well as a kind of genre blending thing, playing it with a brass band, which is what Riot Jazz is. So I have to give him credit, because I took his arrangement and kind of used some bits of it as a way to build mine. And so I started with some of the tunes from the Riot Jazz medley, Slam being one of them. And I was originally going to start the suite with that because it's such a huge tune, and recognisable. And I thought it would be a cool way to start, but it wasn't kind of mysterious or dramatic enough to like introduce the thing. I wanted something more mysterious. So I ended up finding this track that I'd actually never heard before. I'd been listening to Immersion, and it was one of my favourite albums kind of around the time it came out. But for some reason I didn't know this track, and so late in the writing process I found Genesis, and I thought, that's the one, that's what we need to... it's how they started the Immersion album, so I thought this is a great way of starting the suite. So I thought it was a good way of just being like, this is the start of something. And then we go into Slam. So I just kind of used a DJ technique, I guess, here of just blending into another tune. I did a bar of just kind of modulating, so this bar just before Propane Nightmares. So we just kind of modulate up a major third from E flat minor to G minor. It's kind of one of my favourite devices. I think I stole it from Prokofiev, or I remember studying Prokofiev, and I was taught that it's a tertiary relationship, which I think was made up. But it's just, rather than moving from kind of like, 5 to 1, or like a cycle of fifths where you would kind of go Or like, you know, move like that. It's moving up a third, and so at the end of the phrase, I just add, you know, a chord 5 of the next key. It's kind of nothing special really. But what I like to do is use these string risers, which will lead us to the next key, and a nice crescendo, which kind of just lifts you up. And the whole nature of moving from E flat minor to G minor is a lift. It's a lift up. So you can, even if you're not musically, you can hear that kind of lift up a little bit in the key. I love adding kind of bits of harmony to just change it up a little bit. So one thing I did here in the strings, so you've got the brass playing the melody in Propane Nightmares, and the woodwind as well. But in the strings you've got this kind of harmony suspension going on. And I just love kind of taking, you know, a melody that I love anyway and just putting my spin on it. I mean, they might think it's rubbish, but it kind of makes it different. And as well as just putting it onto orchestra, it uses the orchestra. We've got the different families of instruments. You've got the wind, brass and strings. And so it's nice to have each family doing something different rather than just all playing the same thing. So I'll just play that bit again. And so what I'm trying to do here, I mean, I've been into drum and bass music pretty much since I first heard the Pendulum kind of album back in 2005. So I had an understanding of it, but again, you take away the drums and the bass and you're left with, you know, harmony and melody. How do you kind of keep that momentum and rhythm? It's a bit like with all these electronic music artists reimagined in an orchestra. It's how do you keep the momentum? How do you keep the energy going? And so one technique I've used here is just having the strings moving. It's something that I've noticed looking at those John Williams scores, is that he's always got some movement. There's always something that's moving. It might not be the tune, it might not be you know, part of the original track, but it's something just as easy as having the lower strings playing their notes just as quavers. So you've got this dung 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 dung. So I'll just isolate them. Take away the melody. So violas, cellos and basses are doing this. And they're just relentlessly moving forward. I mean, the melody itself moves the pace forward, but without the drums you really need that, because on the original track you've got you know, electronic techniques and things like that, and the drums building up. So that's a nice simple trick. I mean, you could put that in any part of the orchestra really, but for me there's nothing, you know, as satisfying as a driving string section, just dun 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 dun. Again, we've got the strings, woodwind. And one thing I love about the tunes is that they have these huge epic sing-along melodies. Again, I wanted to put that on trombone and French horn just to give it that epic quality. In fact, I wrote on here big. You know, this is this epic moment where you can imagine the crowd would sing along. And again, I've got the kind of bassoon, and lower strings playing, you know, this driving harmony. I really like this. While we've got the brass kind of swelling with these chords. Which is just a really nice texture, I think, nice kind of orchestration. I mean, it could be in a Disney film or something. I just really like the orchestration there, and it, you know, I remember MC Spider messaged us and said that's such a sick kind of rendition of the tune, because again we'd done this tune with Riot Jazz, and Riot Jazz kind of plays it as is, which is great, you know, it's that kind of reggae heaviness, but to do it, you know, completely different with an oboe duet basically playing the tune, I just thought was really funny. And then one technique that I'm trying to think where I stole it from. I steal things from everywhere. I think that's, you know, if everyone's really honest, they'll say that they steal ideas. You know, you'll hear something and go, I want to use that. And so one thing that I've used a few times actually in a few of the suites is this string texture. So you've got tremolo, which is where you're like really fast with the bow, and you're glissandoing, which means to slide up to a note. And sulpont, which means playing on the bridge of the instrument, which gives a kind of really harsh sound, which combined together makes this really cool sound. I won't play Sibelius's version because it's a nightmare. I just love that sound. I think it was in the Home Alone soundtrack, maybe, or maybe it was a Harry Potter. It might be one of the Harry Potter scores, something like The Chamber of Secrets. And there's just this really cool texture, and I just thought that's kind of a cool technique. And so I decided to go full on epic at the end. Again, very John Williams. You've got the theme kind of repeated and it modulates again. And I remember spending quite a while, I couldn't decide where it should modulate. I think, let me have a little... I think I couldn't decide whether to change again in the last bar. And I think I originally wanted it to stay on the C sharp, so if I just move that down a semitone. So I think I originally wanted this. Which is also epic, but I opted for this. I mean, I don't know which version you prefer, but I just really liked that. It's just stepping up and up and up, and it's, you know, it's epic.
Hi guys, thank you for watching our video. If you enjoyed it and you'd like to see more content like it, then it would be great if you could consider supporting us via our Patreon page. There are different levels of membership. We're going to be uploading more bonus content, behind the scenes footage, things like that to our Patreon on a regular basis from now on, and we really would appreciate any kind of support that any of you could give us. So thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.